Joining me on the phone now from Cairo is CBS News radio reporter Vicki Barker. Vicki, I understand you were out in Liberation Square this morning. What did you see out there?
I saw thousands upon thousands upon thousands of chanting, cheering, clapping people, calling on Hosni Mubarak to step down, yes, but also celebrating a newfound identity. I mean, it is extraordinary. After the violence of 2 days ago and the reaction, the shock and the grief of yesterday, the mood in Liberation Square today was utterly transformed. It seems that the violence and the threat of more violence, far from keeping people away, had the opposite effect. I talked to people who were joining the protests today for the first time because they were so angry at what they see as state-sponsored violence against fellow Egyptians.
What about the presence of the Egyptian military there and their actions? How are they acting today?
The Egyptian military, there was word that a high-ranking general had come to Tahrir, Liberation Square, earlier in the day to talk to the demonstrators, which sounded like a positive thing. Then one of the protesters told me, in fact, the guy had come to the grounds of the Egyptian Museum directly bordering Tahrir Square and spoke to the protesters through the wrought iron fence. And that kind of sums up the Egyptian military. I think sitting on the fence is the best way to describe their stance. That said, at least they weren't actively targeting the protesters the way forces loyal to, if indeed identical, if not indeed identical to the State Security Service has been.
What about the pro-Mubarak protesters and forces? Have they had a presence there today?
I didn't see anybody nabbed today, although I hear several people were, but I watched a couple nabbed yesterday, and here's what seems to happen. Something gives these guys away. I mean, I've heard several people tell them you can just see, you just know the instant they walk in, you can just smell it on them. So they're surrounded by a group of men, sometimes wrestled to the ground, searched. Everybody in Egypt has to carry identification, and what do you know? Their identification card says they work for the state security apparatus.
Mm-hmm. What about your own personal decision to leave the hotel? This is dangerous turf over there. We saw a number of journalists rounded up over the last several days. I mean, that's got to be intimidating.
I suppose it's intimidating. It makes you cautious. For instance, yesterday they were already starting to target journalists the night before, and the pro-Mubarak forces, many of them very big, very burly, very angry men, had already started gathering by the entrances to Tahrir Square the night before last, and it was already getting pretty hairy. So yesterday what I did was I reasoned that if I got there really, really early in the morning, just as the curfew expired, like 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, probably all those guys would be still sleeping off the fun of the night before, and that I'd be all right. And in fact, that's what happened. So I got into the square quite early. I spent a couple of hours there. By the time I got out, it was getting a little bit edgy. Then I spent the rest of the day working on the material I got in my hotel room. The plan for today was for none of us to leave because of the danger, because of the security threat. And, you know, I guess it was head over heart. The head said the attacks on journalists have only been escalating in the last 24 hours. You'd be nuts to go out there. If you're arrested, beaten up, you're not going to be able to tell the story anyway. But you know what? The heart was saying, how dare you? How dare anyone try to stop journalists from telling a story? And I'm afraid the heart won.
Well, it's a brave effort by you today, and we thank you for that. One quick question here. The protesters have called this departure day, as if this was some kind of deadline day for President Mubarak to leave. What is your sense of whether or not that is a hard deadline, and what's your crystal ball say about what might happen here?
Do you know, my crystal ball is totally, I won't say it's clouded. It's got so many contradictory pictures in it that I really can't make sense. I can't shake up that crystal ball and look at it and predict what the future is going to hold. Yesterday this time I would have said this movement was finished. the people were shell-shocked at the violence and the aggression that had been shown against them. And also some of them were starting to fight back, so that a movement that was dedicated to peaceful change through nonviolent protest was starting to look like that mission, the mission was eroding a little bit. Today, what happened was thousands and thousands and thousands of Egyptians woke up this morning and said, I'm not going to let them do that to my fellow Egyptians. I talked to several people who came here today for the first time because they were so angry and upset by what had been done to the protesters before that. And everybody walks in and they look around. Everybody made a personal decision to come out today, and then they look around and find out that they've got tens of thousands of comrades in this, and it's almost like going to the world's biggest high school reunion. Total strangers are greeting each other like long-lost friends because they're suddenly realizing that as different as they may be, male, female, Christian, Muslim, Western educated, rural, poor, they all share the same goal, the same desire, and the same dream, which is a democratic Egypt that embraces all of their voices.
All right, Vicki Barker, our CBS News colleague in Cairo. Be safe. Thanks for joining us. We look forward to your updates, Vicki.
Thank you, Bob.